So this is what the little shelf looks like so far. And we'll continue this and figure out a little bit more on how we're going to unstack this. I've got an idea, don't know if it's going to work. But we have 6 of the little cube things in there so far, and we'll see if we want to buy another couple of them or not. But these are 10 by 10 by 10, so they should hold a decent amount. And like I said, we can get 6 of them in there. We can get 7 of them total. We can't get 8 because this one's just too short. But we're not sure we're going to put one in that spot anyway. So they are a tight fit, which shouldn't be a problem for what our plan is. They're not going to want to slide out anyway, and that's with them empty. We fill them full of stuff. It'll be kind of tough to cram them in there, but that's what we want. I have no idea if I've already shown this before. If I have, I can cut it out of there. If I haven't, I wanted to show this. So this is a cardboard model of the side of the cabinet of the little shelves stacked one upon the other. So this would be the front, or one on top of the other. And this is the linkage that I'm planning on using to move it from the up position to the down position. So my plan is to have it, when it's down, it would have a small gap about 3/4 of an inch, because that's how far, or 1/2 inch, that's how far the little cubes are going to stick proud of that shelf. So that would be the position down. This linkage would help keep everything in line and help me raise and lower it. Okay. This is the wood piece of it, so I need to cut that out. This is the finished one of those. So cut that out and drill the holes. With the hole saw set that I have, the inset piece, the cutout, is a little bit smaller, about 1/8 of an inch diameter. So this is actually the bigger size hole saw, and then this is the smaller size, but that's how it works out. So 3D print a plastic sleeve to go around that, then I end up with a nice snug fit. So printing another one of these. So get that cut out, and then the holes cut. And technically, of course, it doesn't matter if I cut these. I just like the rounded look better. It would work just the same if it were not cut. You know, get the holes cut in those. We'll see what we can do for the second one. Make sure that it is lined up. Okay, so that piece fits in there. There we go. So now I've got it halfway through each of them, which aligns them, and then I can check the alignment on these so that I end up with them both the same length. So that'll confirm. So I can clamp that and then start the hole saw in that. They're clamped together. That's aligning that hole perfectly. That way I get that starting point in there. All right, and done. Okay, clean that up with the sandpaper, and this one should be ready and should be the same as the other one. So these are little blanks that are going to be the end caps on that shelf unit. And that's a pretty rough cut. So I think I'll clamp them together so I can sand them as one unit with the belt sander and get them a little more round. Again, it probably doesn't matter because what I'm using them for, but I want it to look nicer. So I've got this set currently, and I don't have the proper screws for this right now. So I'm going to just use some longer ones right now, and I'm going to come in from this side because, again, I just want to test the pivot point of it. It seems like I've got it just right. So I'll drill the hole in the center of these pieces and use this as basically a giant washer to help keep this portion lined up the right way. So it should be just right. It's a nice snug fit. It fits perfectly in this location and when this gets down stacked. So we'll give this a try. I'll get these screwed on. I'll get the other side and see if this fits. So we've got the rings printed, and that is just a nice snug fit. Fits right on there and then fits into the space just right. That's a snug fit, but it rotates easily, and that's what I'm after. So very little slop side to side. So I think it's going to work. We'll get it attached to the other side also and get a screw in there to test it, and then we'll get the correct screws later. Originally I was just going to use these drywall screws and have two of them coming from this side and two going from that side into this piece. So basically two of them would be like this, and then two of them would be like that through this part. So this would be held on by all four screws. I don't really like that, so I'm going to try a bolt instead. Some kind of bolt like this. And then I could try one of the T-nuts on this side. I'd have to get different size, but I could go through all of that. This could be countersunk on the other side. I'm not really sure what I'm going to use yet. Let's try it out and we'll find out. You can see these are massively long, but it's what I have tonight. I'll have to go do some shopping for the others. And we'll get these on there. But let's give this a quick test. Wow. If this had the right length of bolt, this might work. So we'll double check the measurements to make sure that we get this in the right spot. I can use this same information to line up the other side. Going to double check all the measurements so that I can get it the same on the other side, because this linkage and spacing does not allow for any variation. It's very, very tight. Got to flip it this direction so it's closer. Okay, so slightly proud on this side and ever so slightly under on the other. I've got some temporary bolts in here for now. They're shorter than the first trial ones I had, but now I've got this together. I need to add some kind of handle still, but now I can put it back in the van and give it a test. So it moves through the motions just wonderfully. Real happy with it. It leaves that amount of space that I wanted to account for the I could put the fact that the little cubes stick out from this a little bit. So I think this is going to work out. It doesn't have any lift mechanism. I think I could add something if I want to. Not sure what or how, but I think I could. Right now, I can get it put back into the van, and we'll give it a look. Okay, let's see how this goes. So I don't have any handles. I'm thinking of handles here or in here. Okay, there is space along this side. It sets down all the way. It pretty much locks itself into place. I've got the major components done now. I'm happy with how they're going. Well, the major structural components as far as plywood kind of building. The biggest thing left is really the cushions that are going to be the bed and convert to the couch. So that I'll be working on soon. So I've got all of these structural components in place. Just got that shelf area the way. I'm real happy with the way it's moving. I need to still add handles. We'll finish up all these other little pieces as quickly as possible. So the hatches are in, and I think I've got a method to close them and hold them closed while they're being flipped upside down for the one part that gets moved. The main couch portion of the hatch, I'm not going to worry about them. I don't think they need any kind of closure on those at all. And if I change my mind, those are simpler because that doesn't have to flip over. So it doesn't have to be the same kind of strength. It doesn't have to be as positive. So still a few more pieces, kind of smaller pieces left to go, and we'll get those done. So next, I'm going to add this webbing. So I need a hole through here, and I'm going to drill at it an angle. That way it'll have an edge there for it to help grab on. And then I can wrap this around here and staple it back on this side so it's wrapped all the way around, has plenty of strength to hold in place. Now we'll see if we can get some holes in there. I really need to be able to do a slot, and I don't have the right tool for that. So I'm going to see what I can do. Okay, got those in a row. Piece of sandpaper through there at the angle. So that. All right. So. Okay, that feels like it should hold real well. I'm going to try cutting this with the little Weller soldering gun, and it has a tip on it that should be good for cutting. So let's try it from this side. Okay, that's really hot. Okay, so that makes a nice cut, a nice clean and sealed. That worked out well. Now, I think I can use the stapler and staple that on. I don't know if this will help at all, this kind of glue on here, but I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit on there. There, now the force on that is pulling this direction. That has a lot of holding power. I think that should be very good. So get this one put back in and then figure out the slice. You can see what a terrible light this drill has. First of all, the trigger has to be partway pulled to even come on. And second, it doesn't illuminate where the bit is. You'd have to have it about that long before it would even illuminate where it is, where it's going to be. And of course, the shorter it is, the worse it is. Anyway, it's not a great piece, but as long as it keeps running, I'm not replacing it. Now this piece needs to be long enough to go around the toilet piece and have room for the buckles and attach to this portion of it. So the buckle pieces, of course, they'll buckle together, should hold, it says, gosh, what did it say, like 100 pounds? I don't think I believe that, but it certainly should hold 30, 40 pounds. And this is a lateral movement. It should hold it in there just fine. So now I need enough for about this much extra on each side. So I need to have it go that full length from here around the toilet over to here, and have enough for this in the middle somewhere, or in there. So I'm not sure where this is going to go, and that doesn't matter yet. I'll set this back in there. Add the cushiony piece, which I can glue on later. Okay, that goes on there. That goes around here. So this long is long enough to get there. However, now I need the other pieces, the pieces to attach the buckle also. So if I put that in between here, and then I need at least about this much on each side. So we'll add that much once and twice. So we can do our cut right here, and that should be plenty long. Okay, we'll get the hot knife piece and cut that. And we'll get it cut right there. Wow, nice. That definitely cuts this stuff nicely. Now I can slide this out of the way. And we'll get that. Got the one bolt here with the spacers. We'll get the slot in here. So again, that's going to be pulling up this way. So it's got this corner, this corner, this corner, and this sharper corner, sharper angled corner. It's smooth enough to not cut, but it has all of that anchoring to overcome now. All right, so now we'll figure out exactly where the little buckle pieces will go. Looks good. So we'll get that piece reinstalled. So I've got that spacer. So this one. Now I need to get this cut and the buckle in, and I was thinking of putting it right here so I could reach down right here and unbuckle it. I'm going to go ahead and cut it right there. So if I have the buckle portion here, and that will allow me to move it a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and cut it in the middle there. So assuming I'm going to have the buckle there, and then I'll cut it here, and that will allow me a few inches one way or another. And worst case is I have to pull this one off and put a longer piece on and move it somewhere else. So it's not a giant big deal. Well, I think that's it. I could add a second one if I think I need to, but So the way that this is put together, this can't lift. It can't lift on either side. So the only thing it can do is slide out. Well, that prevents it from sliding out. So I think I'm completely solid now. It feels very, very little movement. So I think I've got that installed now. And hopefully, we already saw that piece is all bolted down now. That piece is attached solidly now. I added a support, so now I can put much more weight on top of that. I could stand on that. And I've got a bracket on there so it can't kick out either way. So I've got an L bracket on this one, so this can't move now, and it can't lift. So I wanted to make sure it couldn't lift because the shelf unit is attached to it along the back of the shelf, front of this, back of these shelves and the front of this platform. So I didn't want it to be able to tilt up at all. So that L bracket will help prevent that. So I've got the first hatch attached, the ones that are going to move. So these two are the only ones that I really need to attach, the ones that are going to flip over. So now it's still a little bit loose and I'm going to adjust that, but now I can flip it and it doesn't come out. And I'm going to attach some kind of, probably a little fabric, little handle piece. Okay. This is what I decided to use. We still had a couple of these magnetic catch things from child safety lock things for cabinets. So I took them off the last two things, which they haven't been needed since we moved into this house, but yet when we moved some of the cabinets, these were still on it. So this little latch just catches onto the edge there. Now, I'm going to do the same thing on that one. So we'll get that one taken care of. So, we'll find the center. So I've got this edge just past that edge. We'll double check, make sure that that fits. Okay, we'll drill the holes in that. So now we'll put the T-nut in. And you can just tap that with a hammer and put it right in. Or you can use a clamp and squish it right in there. Okay, so you can see it sticks up just a little bit. You can get a different kind that's further in there, but these are cheap and work well, so that's what I have. Crank that down tight. Now I've got the catch for the one side. Let's check that out. Perfect. Now I need to get the other side installed. And because the big flange on it, it won't be able to wiggle even with a single spot on there. Okay, so that's how far that piece sticks out. That's how far the catch needs to be away from that edge. So there's the setback. Okay, 3/8 back from there. Just trying to sneak up on it so I don't drill all the way through, which I kind of did on the first one. I think it's hitting still, so I think I need to take out a little bit more of the bottom. Well, let's go test it out. Finally, I have this first hatch really complete. So I added the other piece under here. I don't know if I showed that. I'm going to pull this off of here. So I added this plastic piece that came with that cabinet lock piece. Anyway, so I added that to the bottom of the aluminum. I don't know if I showed that. If I showed that, I can cut some of this out, so then you won't hear all this babbling. Okay, now, so we've got the little magnetic catch piece and the aluminum piece that I bent so it'll grab onto the aluminum rail. So now, and that locks into place. And again, I'll change this out to probably some fabric piece. And I'll add some little pieces in here to help keep it from being able to jiggle in case that ends up rattling as we drive, because that would be really annoying. Anyway, so that holds it tight. Can flip it over, can close it, easy as can be. And then I can open it up using the magnet. We'll finish that other one next. So of course it has the catch, but now I need to add that other plastic piece in there. Okay, so I'll get this piece taken off and we'll add the other piece to the bottom of that aluminum piece. But this is looking, that's a good fit. It's snug on that side. Right now it's a little bit loose on this side, but that other plastic piece should take care of that. I already marked where the plastic piece goes, but I'm gonna do it one more time to make sure that it doesn't wear off of there. Okay, this is the little plastic piece that goes on the other side, and it interacts with that curved piece there. So I will screw it to the bottom of this. So it'll go along here. I just need to make sure I line it up correctly. So I'll tape it in place and then test it using this. That lines up with the correct spot. And now I'll put it back in place and check to make sure that it interacts correctly with this. So, okay, let's check. Okay, it closes, and now it's pretty snug. Now I could add little rubber bumpers on this side though. I think I can do that. Okay. So now that piece can be attached. And the hole for that is slightly slotted, so I can shift this a little bit if I need to. Of course, drilled it slightly undersized. Now I'll go up to the size. Now I'll tap those holes, and I'm going to just leave that tape on there and just drill right through that. Okay, so got the tap through, and get the other one tapped. And I don't have any good taps, I just have junk. So if the threads match, I'm always happy. Yeah, because these are not a good set. So I'm adding a bit of thread locker to this. Just putting a little bit on there. Uh-oh. Ah, come on. Okay. Okay, I can get that off of there. So got that on there. I need to grind the back side of those off. They're slightly, they stick out just a little bit, so I'll grind those off real quick. So I've got that piece on there. Now I can reattach it, put it back into place. Oops. Now we'll check this to see how it fits. Okay. And if I add a spacer this way, it's very tight. Now I have those two attached. I think I'll figure out something nicer than a piece of tape for the handle piece, some kind of fabric or ribbon or something here. But something here, and it could be stapled to the bottom and then feed up through. That way it'll be easy to grab onto and it'll be strong. You can get into the space for whatever we store in that space. I'm happy with that. I've got the catch on that one, and those are done. We can tip it up and they'll stay in place now. These two, because gravity will hold those down, I really don't need to add any kind of catch on those, so I probably won't. So one of the next things is some netting. I bought some cargo net stuff that's made for putting in various places in the car, and it has like little knob things that you can attach. But I'm putting it on these side pieces, and I figured we could stuff whatever we want into those, maybe our jackets or something. I'm not real sure, but that was a pretty big space and I wanted to be able to use it. So now I'm going to take this side off and add that same kind of netting thing over on this side. So we'll get this off of there and then get that netting onto that. And I still don't have these pieces attached. I need to get some kind of mechanism to hold that down. But first, let's get this side piece off and get it over to the work area and get a netting piece on it. So it just has some screws between this layer and this layer. So we'll get those out. I think I put 4 screws in. I'll bring this part over and add the net portions of it. I had this piece of aluminum tubing, and then I inserted a piece of the plywood into the end. That way I can screw through it and not crush it. Same with the other end, and I put a long piece in there because it will also support part of this folded out portion. When it's open, will rest on it. So, well, I guess if it's at that end, not at this end. So this will get attached here. So, and then that will give me a place to add the netting. So let's get that going. And I'll pre-drill those 2 holes, and then we'll set it on here and drill into here. Quite a long ways for a long screw. I didn't get it very well centered, but I'll add glue to it before I put the screws in there. So the netting comes with the little knob things that you can attach and some adhesive dot things. They're kind of squishy. I don't know how good the adhesive is, but it would keep them from twisting or anything. But for this particular purpose, I didn't really need these, so I didn't use them. This is the top edge, so this is going to go along like this. So I'll drill 3 holes along this side to attach the netting, the inside. And so it does a pretty good stretch. So I'm going to do it the same as I did on the other side. So I'll put 3 holes along this side to zip tie the netting to. On this, it's not too critical. I'm just drilling 3 holes in there that are beefy enough for the zip tie to not break through. It would have to be awfully thin to end up with a problem. And on these, I'm using a pretty small zip tie. I'm using these little 3 or 4 inch ones, maybe 5, I don't know what they are. And I'm not even sure how you'd measure a zip tie. So they're about 4 inches long, but the ratchety part doesn't start until here. So the useful length is only about 4 1/4 or 3 1/4. So I don't know what they would be called as far as how they're labeled. And I don't really care. And I'm sure nobody else cares. So I tried to use the smallest possible bit that I could and still get the zip tie through there. And I did that by rocking it just a little bit. All right, that fits. That'll allow me to attach the net on that side and just get it started. Then I'll fold that and crank it tight. Okay, same with the top one. And again, kind of folding it over and get that one snugged up. And if they're not neat, I can always go back and change them. It's not a big deal. Then I'm using the bigger size for the bottom rail area, because those little ones weren't quite long enough. We need to get that end. And because I messed that up and it's gluing, that's a little bit of an issue still. So on this side, there's a screw that goes down into there. That's down to here in this area. So as I drill anything for these, I want to avoid those spots. Yeah, I don't know if that's dry enough yet. Yeah, we'll add zip ties to the holes. Now cut off the excess of the zip ties. I find that these almost always leave a razor sharp point, so I like to go back and shave off the end flush with the whole body portion of it, and that way it leaves a nice edge that's no sharp pieces left on it. All right, let's go put it back in place. Okay, so that will fit better by not having it in the front, because, you know, I didn't think it through. And see what it looks like. That looks good. So I'll screw that back into place, and then that side is done, at least for now. All right. Yeah. As I mentioned before, I still need to add some pieces to keep these closed, but that's not a big deal. I can do that a little later. The bigger size netting. Not sure I like that. I'm actually pretty happy with the way the zip tie ones came out. Maybe I'll zip tie this across the front also, because that really seemed to work well. As you can see, I got this netting on there. Got it zip tied around this front part, which allows us to, the ceiling portion will be up here, so that leave a little gap, and we can pull this forward and down to put things in and out, and it has the kind of pocket area in the front. So I think that should work. And by using just a bunch of zip ties, we have some flexibility to, of course, change it out easily and to just change our minds. And all it'll have is some small holes in the side, so not a big deal. Now we need some handle pieces to be able to guide it up and down as we're moving it. So I've got this piece of 3/4 by 3/4 oak that I have just a scrap laying around. So I think I'm going to just take a section of it and attach it to there. And that will allow me to just kind of grab it like this to move it up and down. The test piece that we tried earlier looked like it worked. So we'll put it about this long and just add a couple of screws in there and see how that goes. Well, a couple of pieces. We'll see how that works. I'm going to start it just above the shelf. If I'm wrong, I'll have to move it down. I'll do what I can. So I'm going to just drill through that, and I'll just use a drill bit that's small enough that it's the right size for the pilot hole for these. And then I'll do it from the other side to finish it up. Okay, so there's my handle to help me move it up and down so I can kind of grab it like this, I hope. So we'll find out. They'll do the same to the other side. And one of the reasons I'm not gluing it is because I am absolutely not sure if this is going to be the right spot or the right size or anything. So we'll start with it just screwed on, real easy to move it. So we'll get the other side on and we'll be back and try it out. With these handle blocks up here, it's real easy to just swing this down here, and it's quite stable at this spot, and especially after this gets weight in the bottom, it'll be quite stable. Real easy to pull it up, because again, you're kind of pulling it into a circle, and it supports itself pretty well. All right. That's all of that for now. And we can push it partway through so that it's in both of these. There we go. And that locks them together and shows what a crappy job I did. Okay, nope. It's the other side. I'm thinking I could put this on the inside like I did the other one. I'm going to go ahead and cut those off and change those.